Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Cameo. If you have seen me before, welcome back. If you have not, just welcome. Quick shout out to my cousin Kim. I love you. If you see Kim commenting, go not only like her comment, go subscribe to Kim's channel. She's the best. I love her down. Also, I love you guys. First time in a very long time my video has got to 100 views, especially within the first week. That's crazy to me. Give yourself a pat on the back right now. Love you. I wanted to talk about being perceived, because that's something I have struggled with my entire life, is just being perceived. And as someone, I'm a Leo. I have a 12th house Leo sun. If you know anything about astrology, you know it doesn't really pair up with each other, right? 12th house is a house of hidden talents, hidden enemies. It's about institutions. It's about the occult, things that are very taboo and not talked about. And that's where my sun is. So your sun, it has a lot to do with your personality, right? And for Leo, people are typically oh, Leos are, they're bubbly, they're dominant, they're they have a lot of those synonyms to talk about Leo. So that, something that's bright in something that is hidden is like a hidden light. And I deal a lot with hiding my own light. And I think a lot of me, I turned 25 this year and I keep talking about that, but it's a really big deal for me because I'm unlocking a lot of my psyche. I'm unlocking a lot of myself. And in that, I realized that being perceived is I used to feel like it was a death sentence. I'm always someone who shies away from the limelight, but I always end up in the limelight, and I never really understood that. And I always did I didn't like it. Growing up, I've always been that person that adults are always telling their kids they should be and that ruined a lot of relationships I've had. I have cousins who really don't mess with me because of that. It's you need to be like Cammy do this and that. And sometimes my parents don't help. My dad is somebody, I have siblings who really don't rock with me because of sometimes people just egg stuff on too much or want you to be somebody, and that's what takes you away from it. And that ruined a lot of relationships I had as a kid, but also it made me not want to be perceived, because I always felt like someone was comparing themselves to me. And I feel even as a kid, I knew that this shouldn't happen. Don't compare you to me. I won't compare me to you. And I don't really like the comparisons of people outside of music, talking about things that are more objective compared to subjective things. I think everyone has their own strengths, and that's what kind of it made me feel weird as a child, and even to today. And it made me grow into someone who really doesn't like being perceived, which is crazy because I'm an artist. It's literally all about perception. It's making work. I made this back here. I made that in, I think, my senior year of undergrad when I was at UPitt. And it's spray paint, it's glitter, and I think a few little beads and stuff that I put in there, those little crosses right there. Those are the little beads. And then over here, I exhibited this at the Ubuntu Gallery in Germantown, which is in Philly. It is a barrette assemblage with a mirror, so a mirror barrette assemblage, and it's called Welcome Home. And it's more of thinking of welcoming yourself back to yourself, you know, coming back home to yourself. And I do that a lot. Like I have some moments where it's like I relearn who I am, and in that, like, in learning again of who I am, it's like it's a new blossom, you know, like perceiving myself. Like it sometimes it gets to a point where um like even with my YouTube channel, like I've start and stopped, start and stop, start and stop, start and stop, rebrand, another rebrand, stop again, rebrand, stop again. And like I'm finally in this moment, and I think all of it comes back to like anxiety, which I can talk about another time. But like being perceived is something that I've been running from my entire life, but it has actually been one of the biggest blessings that could ever happen to me. You know what I mean? Like being perceived got me places that I never would have imagined I've gone. Like being perceived got me to spend a couple of months in Stockholm. I went travel writing in Croatia. Like I've last year I was in Paris. I was in France. I didn't really like that trip. I could also talk about that another time. But like it's so much that is in being perceived that I neglect myself. And it's like you need to like let that go. Like that's kind of something I've been praying about for. I've been trying to get just peace around that, like because it's not all negative. Like nothing ever is all negative, you know. Like even in the negative, like there is positive. So in being perceived, like there have been people. I can give you a story time, like a really quick story time. I had this one friend, and I'll call her Lizzie, because I don't know Lizzie, right? So Lizzie's younger than me, and this was like a couple years ago. This is actually when I first, well, kind of when I first made this, around the time is when I met Lizzie, right? Lizzie reached out to me on Instagram. She would like just comment on my posts and stuff, and like she was just really nice to me. She liked my art and stuff like that, and we just started, you know, communicating via DM. And Lizzie was just like, you know, like I'm really inspired by you, and like I kind of took Lizzie like under my wing a little bit. You know, I introduced her to people that I knew. Like she started following everybody I followed. Like it was, you know, we were like, you know, hand in hand. Like that was my girl, you know. And after a while, Lizzie became my best friend. We were on the phone every day. We were talking all the time. And you know, like she was opening up, I was opening up, and like we were friends. And then it came to a point where I felt like Lizzie was biting hella. Like I would do something, or I would be like, oh, I'm making this, or I'm putting this out. Next day or two, Lizzie's like, I've made this, look at this is what I did. And it'd be like very similar kind of things. And like being that that's my friend, I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, that's my friend, of course, like we're gonna do similar things, you know, we're on the same wavelength. Like that's me and Lizzie, my twizzy, you know what I mean? Like we locked in, we overly locked in. And it would be to a point where like Lizzie would use my name around the scene. Like people would rock with Lizzie because Lizzie was in associations with me. And like all of that, like in being perceived, it got to a point where like it started to be so toxic, to the point where I stopped posting, or I would stop, you know, sharing what I did, because I felt like every single thing I did, someone was perceiving me to, you know, copy, or perceiving me, or like learning to do, you know what I mean? Like something like conniving. And I realized that, long story short, with Lizzie, we end up not being cool anymore. Nothing off of like there wasn't no spat, there wasn't an argument. I just fell out of communication with her. Like, I just realized that sometimes, like, if I'm not calling, then we don't talk. And which was completely different from how it began. And I realized, like, once things, like, there was a I realized there's also like a resentment that started to build up between the two, like, in the sense of, like, we stopped that communication, we stopped it, which also cut the copying, which also just, like, distanced the people. And then I started to hear what Lizzie would say about me to other people, and I would be like, cut. And that was the same time that I left the city and I went to grad school in New York. So after a while, like, I was just out of the way, and I wouldn't hear nothing from Lizzie. And I feel like at that time, it was like our birthdays were around the same time. We're both Leos, and Lizzie's birthday was after mine. So I would be like, okay, like, my birthday came, didn't really hear nothing too much from Lizzie. Her birthday went, I didn't really, if you're not showing up for me, I'm not really gonna do the same for you. And I will stand on that 100%. And then after that, it just fell off completely, and I just dissociated. I just didn't really associate myself with them anymore. And I'm leaving out a lot of extra stuff, but all that to say is, like, being perceived really led to this, complicated back and forth, when I realized now that, like, I don't have to engage with certain stuff. Like, I can be perceived and just let it be like that. I don't have to change how I interact. I don't have to change how I be, because at the end of the day, people are going to realize what's real and what's not real. So you don't have to fake the funk. You don't have to be fake. You don't have to do nothing crazy. You just have to be who you are. And at the end of the day, being perceived should not stop you from being who you are. And a lot of people are like, like, you always hear, oh, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Frank Ocean, be yourself. A lot of people go to school. A lot of people smoke weed. I'm just yapping right now. But, like, we always hear to be yourself in the context of, like, oh, you shouldn't want to be someone else. Yeah, people can inspire you. People, like, of course, we consume so much. And I was also having this conversation with another friend earlier this week. But, like, we consume so much to the point where sometimes you don't really know what is from you and what is inspired from someone else. And, like, sometimes we blur those lines. And in that, it's like, you don't know how to perceive yourself. And all of that to say is, at the end of the day, don't let your fear stop you from doing. Like, all of this is about, dang, I just kicked the thing, my bad. All of this is about doing. At the end of the day, point blank, period. Don't let your fear, and don't let indecision, don't let anxiety, don't let none of this stop you from achieving where you want to go. Especially, like, with me, like, even being perceived after a while, like, my run in grad school was absolutely crazy. I did over, like, 25 shows 1 year of, like, art shows, of, like, showing my work, traveling, and just producing a lot. And I realized in that, like, it's the act of making it. It's the act of making the work. It's the act of doing the thing, not presenting the thing, that matters. Like, yes, presentation matters, but, like, you wouldn't be able to present if you didn't do the thing. And what's stopping you from doing the thing is that fear. It's that anxiety. It's that, oh, I don't want to be perceived. Oh, I don't want people to see me. Fuck people. And I don't really like to cuss on here, but, like, legit, like, fuck them. Like, what does it matter if there's this one scripture is like something about what does it cost a man to gain the world but lose his soul, like something like that. But it's like, what does it cost you to not do? It costs you, the time is still gonna happen anyway. Like, I think of it a lot about, like, like traveling, or when you talk about weight loss, or talk about anything like time, or going back to school, anything, like the time is going to happen anyway. It's if you start now, or if you wait and then you sit and you think about it and you perceive yourself and you have this fear and the blah 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 blah, and that goes on and on and on. Or you could start now, and then yes, you can, yes, there's still fear. It's always going to be fear. It's always going to be like, it's not always going to be fear, but they're always going to have that anxiety. But is the anxiety going to be loud, or are you going to make it silent by doing it? Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can submit it and throw it out into the world, into the ether. You don't know what it's going to do. Like, I didn't know that last video was going to reach like 100 views. I just submitted it. And like, even with this, is like, I'm trying to get out of my own head, and I'm trying to stop myself from being who I know I am, not even who I can be. It's like embodying who you are. Like, that's it. It's no like aspirational who I want to be. It's who I am now and who I'm growing into. And you can embody who you're growing into right now, just off of the decisions that you make, that, oh, my anxiety is not going to stop me. My fear of being perceived is not going to stop me from doing this. Like right now, I don't know if you hear, but like my voice is super scratchy right now. I was hanging out with my nephews early this week and they was all coughing and stuff, and I think they passed something on to me. But at the same time, like, I had it in my heart, like, I want to record a video and post it today, and that is what I'm gonna do. And it's like that, I'm not gonna let anything stop me from reaching where I want to reach. Do I know exactly where I want to go? Not really, but that doesn't matter. I don't have to know. I don't have to know where the end goal is. I just have to do it now. I just have to let the fear go now. And like, yeah, like, that was my biggest thing. Like, even on Instagram, I don't really post on Instagram anymore. Like, I don't really engage on social media like I used to. I used to really be like posting videos, reels, all of that. And it's like, just the fear of being